I've been a teacher in New Haven for 20 years. I am part of the Milford Arts Council for about 1 year now. Thanks. I taught at Hill House for 10 years, and then I worked downtown for 3 years, and now I work at the Sound School. So, that's a little bit about me. I have 2 poems to read. One of them is longish. For me, it's long, and the other one's a little bit shorter. So this first one I think I wrote this around 2005, which is about 20 years ago, about when I started teaching, and it's about New Haven. It's called On Faith, since we were getting religious before. On Faith. I should say before I read this, I've read this one before in a much shorter form. This is the original form it was in, and I cut it way down. So this is the way it was originally written. I found this when I was looking for poems to read tonight, so I'm going to try this. On Faith. Cracked asphalt, long retired from use, by heavy steel gate as a security measure against rogue souls who took lives, or to protect those who lost theirs, leads the way up the backside of East Rock for those who wish to ascend under their own power, zigzagging steadily, a moderate pitch, rising in contrast to the sheer walls of tan trap rock, stained darker in streaks of cascading spring thaws and adolescence break-ins, confessing love and presence. The ancient frame under me creaks, a French 10-speed, older than I, complaining as I do all the work, pumping legs, pushing the whole rig forward, steadily climbing towards a purpose, no greater than destination, the top, crowded with cars and kids, and adults trying to steer both. My sweat boils to the surface, free from the steady drying wind of cruising speed in pores and tiny rivers, cutting channels through dust-drenched skin, darkening cloth of shirt and pant, before dripping onto pavement, instantly evaporating into air already humid. The periphery of onlookers seems distracted in the view. The only reason they stepped out of their air-conditioned Escalades and Yukon, adventurous spirits, exploring the savage lands of New Haven in outfitted 4-wheel drives. I walk my 1-wheel drive Peugeot to a stacked stone wall, leaning against a tan rock, and walk out to the edge. The streets of the city stretch perpendicular, a gridwork of grays under cloud shadows, sliding and distorting over treetops and buildings in contours of the landscape. The cluster of downtown, natureless in contrast to the surrounding green of Woodbridge and Orange, evidence of man made sparse from the bird's eye, not even a thin trail of smoke rising from the chimney of some sylvan home, but downtown stands as proud monument to years of living without nature, surrounded by nature. In the midst of the sprawl of concrete and brick, from the long swaths of gray lawn, framed by asphalt rivers, ferrying cars and buses, rise the spires of 3 Protestant churches, almost 200 years old, reminders to passers-by, monuments to God's everlasting glory, as our white-capped peaks unceasingly stretch towards a heaven just out of our reach. But on the edge of the town, rising above industrial complexes and the slums of the State University, extending into the wilds of Woodbridge, above Dam Reservoir, stands the sister, West Rock, now deserted, though once thriving with picnics and tourists, children and American Steel, Whaley and Goff. Hidden from view, away in the north, lies the awkward round hills of an ancient giant, the crown of his head scraped away by industrial vandals, his left hip weighted down by a romantic tower from which one might view the surroundings without nature standing in one's way. And I stand alone on top of this crag, contemplating longevity, contemplating trinities, the 3 peaks of man built in God's name, 3 peaks of God rising even higher. How long will it take for the spires of God to crumble, and how long for his mountains? On Faith. My next one is much shorter. I actually wrote this one in Milford, and I've actually read this at the Mac before, so some of you might recognize this, maybe not. It's called Contemplations on a Deer in the Universe. Contemplations on a Deer in the Universe. The sky is dark at night, or so it seems under lights, white and amber glow, blue and yellow, ebb and flow. Sand slides and flurries and blizzards and ripples and waves all around the edges, like the copacetic places in Australia, away from the outback, apparently, obviously, in front. A singular star shines down between the clouds from the universe above, or below in Australia. Rosa rugosa and elusive beach grasses, an island in the sand, mirrors ailanthus and maple on an island in the sound. I've seen the deer there, browsing, grazing, on an island of sanctuary. No humans April to October, no humans breathing, and the lights echo all along the water's edge. Contemplations of a deer in the universe. Thanks, guys.